everyone, I'm Nazierah and I'm going to be your host for today. I hope everyone is doing fine. Now, I know it's been a rough couple of years with the hit of COVID-19, monkeypox and influenza, but there is another topic that we do not talk enough about, which is the extreme heat, especially what we are currently experiencing in Malaysia and of course a yearly occurrence. So I know that this does not sound as a serious topic as all the other things that I brought up, but with the temperatures in Klang Valley hitting between 35 to 36 degrees, it can have far-reaching consequences to a person's health. And I'm sure there are questions in your mind and asking about what exactly is a heat wave? Is it heat exhaustion? And are only adults at risk? Now, to cool us down on our hot topic today and to answer our question, I have here Dr. Wong and Jass. Thank you for joining us. Now today you are going to enlighten us about what exactly is a heat wave and also some tips on how to beat the heat. So without further ado, let's get into our topic today. So doctor, knowing that we live in Malaysia and of course we go through certain pandemics, right? The past year with COVID-19 and also now with influenza, but another thing that we go through is also the extreme heat. And I'm sure people are wondering, when they experience extreme heat, is there a difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke?
Yes, Nazierah. So heat exhaustion and heat stroke, they are both medical conditions where heat exhaustion is the milder form and heat stroke is the more severe form. So what happens is that when our body is exposed to extreme heat, so our body will try to compensate to maintain a normal temperature for our body, right? So to actually reduce our own body temperature, our body will try to sweat more, because when we sweat more, our sweat will actually evaporate and that will help to cool down our body temperature. The blood vessels in our body will also tend to dilate so that the heat can be released from our skin. Yeah. So this helps us to reduce our core body temperature, right? But because of these mechanisms, when our blood vessels dilate, then our blood pressure will come down a little, right? So this will actually reduce the blood flow to our brain, and this will cause us to have symptoms like dizziness, fatigue. We might even have muscle cramps. So this one we call it as heat exhaustion. But when the body is unable to compensate any further, then we will have heat stroke, right? When the person experiences heat stroke, the person may even lose consciousness. Yes.
So from what I'm hearing about what you said, when I see people fainting in concerts, that would be an example of a heat stroke. So that is someone who's already bypassed the heat exhaustion part. That's
right, Nazierah. So when a person has already lost consciousness, so most likely the person is already experiencing heat stroke. So the more important thing here is actually to know when we have heat exhaustion, we should actually cool ourselves down to prevent us from, getting into heat stroke. Yeah.
So Jass, having heard what doctor has said, and he spoke a lot about prevention, and yes, I heard that you are also a nutritionist. So do you have, what are some of your tips as a nutritionist on how to prevent heat stroke?
Okay, so to prevent heat stroke, firstly we have to reduce our body temperature. So how to reduce your body temperature is we will advise that you take plenty of fluid, like 8 glasses per day will do. Okay, so every time you drink the water, it's not drink in one go, but you sip bit by bit, so our body can absorb the water. So it helps to reduce our body temperature. But once you feel that your body temperature is rising up, you feel the hotness already, then maybe we can try another alternative way, like putting some cool towel, or you can have some cooling patch as well. Yeah, that's my way to prevent.
I see. So I think my next question from both of your extraordinary responses would be actually to ask, why is heat-related illnesses a concern?
Initially, as what I've mentioned, our body tries to compensate, but when our body is unable to compensate, when the temperature in our body gets higher, it may actually affect our internal organs. Yeah, it may actually harm our internal organs, and the most extreme end it can also be life-threatening. Yeah, so even for, because I'm a gynecologist, so for pregnant ladies, right, when they are exposed to extreme heat and the temperature of the unborn baby is even higher, that may actually lead to birth defects as well.
Oh,
yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
So that no matter how much you compensate your body with even nutrition, but if you cannot beat the heat, or if you don't know how to manage the heat in your body, I did not know that it could actually be detriment to even as a pregnant lady having a baby.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it's more important for us to actually prevent ourselves from going to heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Yeah.
Now, doctor, when we talk about heat-related illnesses, I'm sure that there are age groups more prone to experience that than others. Can you tell me what age group is more at risk to experience heat-related illness?
Certain age groups are actually more vulnerable to heat-related illness at the extremes of age, especially those who are very young and also those who are elderly. Very young means those are infants and also children under the age of 4. Why they are more vulnerable is because their body is not mature enough, okay, to have those compensatory mechanisms that I've mentioned earlier, right? So they are at a higher risk of heat-related illness. And the elderly patients, I mean those who are above the age of 65. Why? Because they might be having medical conditions, existing medical conditions, and they might be taking medications such as blood pressure medications, and that will actually affect how our body responds to heat. So these are the two age groups that are actually potentially vulnerable. And of course, being a gynecologist myself, pregnant ladies are also more vulnerable. Why? Because their body need to maintain the normal temperature, not only for herself, but also for the unborn baby. Yeah.
What about women who are going through menopause? Do you think that they have a natural inclination to actually feel heat? Because I hear that they have to take certain medications, and that medication could actually rise up the temperature in their body. So with the environment that we cannot control, what are your tips about women who are going through these kind of conditions?
Yeah, so women who are actually going through the menopause or the perimenopausal period, they might actually have hot flushes. Hot flushes means suddenly they might feel heat in their body, even without extreme temperature, extreme heat in the surrounding. They might actually have hot flushes. So what we actually recommend patients who are actually experiencing the menopausal symptoms, usually we'll advise them to wear loose-fitting clothing and layered clothing. So whenever they feel the hot flush is coming, so they will remove 1 or 2 layers, and when they feel cooler, they can wear a layer or 2 more. Yes, so that's what we usually advise to our patients. Yeah.
So hearing from Jass about the prevention just now, I would just like to ask Dr. Wong, actually, what about your tips on prevention for the general population on how to prevent and beat the heat?
Yes. So I think Jass has rightfully mentioned that we should drink more water, right? Drinking more water is actually good because it helps to regulate our body temperature, at least 8 glasses a day. That will be good. Fruits and vegetables, like what Jass has mentioned. We try to stay indoors, in between 11 AM and 3 PM. Probably we should stay indoors in an air-conditioned room like this. Yeah, that will be better. Avoid strenuous exercises in the hot weather. Yeah, this is what I would actually recommend. Yeah.
I see. Now, I know that with the pandemic easing down and restrictions also easing down, there have been a lot of events on the outside. People are going for concerts and outdoor events. You have any tips or survival kits that a person should have in their bag just to beat the heat? Because Malaysia's temperature is very unpredictable. So what are your thoughts on that?
So for what I say just now, is like you can have some cooling patch, okay? So you cannot bring your cold towel around because you cannot buy the ice everywhere.
And then the heat will absorb the coolness.
And then your ice will be melt. So what we can do is cooling patch is best way if you want to go outdoor, and you can bring anywhere because it's portable. Very small, you can put into the bag, and then if you feel hot and your body temperature is increasing, so you can have some very quick alternative way to put on, so help you to reduce your body temperature first. Yeah, that's my way lah.
Now, doctor, I think I also have a question just at the top of my mind right now. Sometimes a lot of people, like you said, stay indoors, right? But is staying indoors really an effective way of beating the heat? I hear sometimes being exposed to the air condition for a long period of time may not be the best for your body. So do you have any other ways to balance that?
Yes, so when we are indoors, we actually do not feel the heat, but actually we are drying up.
Oh.
Yes, because the air condition can actually cause a very low humidity in our room. So actually we might be dehydrated without us realizing. So the important tip here is to drink more fluids. Even if we don't feel thirsty, probably we should drink more fluids, okay, so that we don't get dehydrated. Yeah.
Hearing you speak about fluids, I think I'm also a little bit of a researcher myself. So sometimes I go online and I seek out questions on how I could also personally beat the heat. So some of the things that I've read before is that sometimes even drinking too much water, too much fluids is not good. Is that true or is it a myth?
Yeah, that's true, Nazierah. So everything has to be done in moderation. Of course, we cannot be drinking 10 to 20 liters of water per day, right? And also some certain patients who have problems with the heart or the kidney, they should restrict their fluid intake. So for those patients who have a medical condition with the heart or the kidney, usually the doctor will advise how much of fluids they can take per day. Yeah, so we should not go too extreme. Too less or too much will not be good. Yeah, just 2.5 liters per day will be good.
So that would be the ideal amount.
Yes, that's right.
Now, Jass, hearing that you are also a nutritionist, right? Can you give us some tips on what foods are best in retaining liquid in our body?
Okay, so we can go for those like foods like can have higher water content, like cucumber is one of the good food because it's high in nutrition, also it's high in water content. Like it's contain 95% of water.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and then
kind of like drinking water.
Actually, it's good for girls also.
Oh, why?
It will help us to in whitening or brightening our skin because it's high in antioxidant also. Yeah, so this is the one of the food. Then you can go for celery, watermelons, and also like pomegranate. It's high in antioxidant, also help to boost our immune system. In another way to like reduce our body temperature lah.
So not only is that great in beating the heat, you also look good while doing it.
Yes.
So basically when someone faints, that is a signal that they've already gone through a heat stroke. So how, if I'm in a crowd and I see someone who has fainted, what are your advices on what I should be doing to help that person? Yeah,
so that person who has already fainted is most likely already having a heat stroke because the person is not conscious anymore. So this is actually a medical emergency. Okay, so emergency medical help needs to be sought immediately, right? So the most important key here is to reduce the person's temperature as soon as we can to actually reduce the detrimental effect on the person's internal organs, because we know that heat stroke can also be life-threatening.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people take for granted in Malaysia, because we always experience extreme heat, and sometimes when people faint, oh, it's just a normal thing that you pick up, it's hot and then you faint, but actually there are detrimental effects to your internal organs, as well as it could be life-threatening when you experience a heat stroke. With that being said, MKA Joycare's latest product, Fever Care, could be a great alternative to help you and your loved ones cool down. Now, Jess, I have a question for you. Can you tell me a little bit more about cooling patch and how effective it is in reducing body temperature?
Okay, so as you know that market that has another brand of cooling patch. So what makes us different is like our cooling patch is basically can effectively reduce your body temperature up to 8 hours. So for myself, I love cooling patch thing. So one day I fever, I put on like around 10 p.m. So I wake up at 6 a.m. My cooling patch is still on my fever, on my forehead, and it's still cold. Yeah, so this is a very unique point because we have actually additional cooling capsule inside our cooling patch. So maybe I can show some. It's like this is our cooling patch. Okay, so inside there is some blue color dots. That's additional cooling capsule. So that will keep us cooling up to 8 hours or even more than 8 hours. Yeah, for myself, once I feel hot, like especially outdoor, I love sport. So after sport like badmintons or cycling, so I will start to like find some alternative way to reduce my body temperature besides drinking of a lot of fluid. So this is one of the best way lah, and it will keep us cool, right?
Now that's a really great tip because I see how compact it is and how cute it is that you can actually bring it everywhere. Like even when, especially now that the borders are easing up and opening up, you can actually, as a mother, I mean as a gynecologist, you can even put one in your bag to travel and bring around and put it on your kids or even on yourself if you are experiencing a heat wave in another country.
Correct. So basically besides that, it's like it is also like 360-degree patented, so you can see that it's fully with the hydrogel. So basically it can like stay up to 8 hours, not easy to dry out. One thing is very worry is like halfway you put into your bag and then you open it, left unopened, will it be dry out very easy? This one will not be dry out, so you can continue bring outside no matter how hot is the outdoor.
That's great. Now I see that there are 2 sizes available. One is a little bit bigger and one is super cute.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the super cute one?
Okay, the super cute one, this one you mean like
yes.
This is for newborn baby, 3 months and above. Yeah, because it's suitable for the 3 months old baby. The forehead is quite small, so it's suitable for that size lah. And then this one also same material. We are using like additional cooling capsule and 360 patented hydrogel. And you can see that our packaging also quite different from others because we are using amber blister, the yellow. But this one is an amber blister packaging, which it will keep the light away. It protects against the UV and blue light. It's also eco-friendly to the environment as well because this is eco-friendly packaging.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so you will not worry about like it's harmful to the environment or harmful to our skin. And it's also hypoallergenic properties, means it's suitable for the skin. You will not worry about like allergy, flush or rash, everything. It will not cause all these problems.
That's great because I hear babies especially when they're newborn, their skin is more sensitive.
Yes.
So this is a really great product, especially when your baby's temperature rise up unexpectedly, you know. I would like to thank Dr. Wong and Jass for joining us today for this enlightening discussion. But before we finish, I would like to ask, are there any key takeaways that both of you would like to share to the audience on how to beat this extreme heat?
Yeah, so I think in Malaysia we are experiencing heat almost every day. So the key point here is actually prevention is better than cure, because we have learned about heat-related illnesses today. We know that there are some prevention that we can do to prevent us from getting into heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Yeah, so that's my key takeaway message. Prevention is better than cure.
Great message.
Yes.
What about you, Jass?
So about nutrition, we can have some fruits like vegetables to prevent it. Also, we can have a lot of fluid to prevent it, to prevent the body temperature rising too high.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wong and Jass, for enlightening us on heat-related illnesses as well as heat waves. Now, if you guys are wondering on where to get Fever Care, you can purchase it to various e-commerce platforms such as Shopee and Lazada, or visit your nearest pharmacy. Besides that, if you want more information, you can visit www.yukazan.com. Again, I want to thank you for your time, for joining us and enlightening the audience on tips on how to beat the heat. Now, I'll see you guys soon, guys. Thank you for watching.